Hi, my name's Doc Washburn, and we're here for TeaPartyChannel.net. It is Saturday, April 12th, 2014, and we're at the Niceville City Park outside the beautiful, plush, and luxurious Niceville City Hall for the We the People rally, sponsored by the Panhandle Patriots organization. My first guest today is John Krause, who is running for the Republican nomination for the United States House of Representatives, District 1 out of Florida, which is basically about as far east. No, not east. I'm becoming dyslexic in my old age. You can tell, can't you? It's about as far west as you can get in northwest Florida. We got about, 3 or 4 counties, John?
5 counties.
Exactly. Just as I was saying, 5 counties in District Number 1 for the U.S. House. John, let me ask you, or as they say in Lower Alabama, let me ask you, we have an incumbent Republican representing the 1st District in the House of Representatives, and you would, of course, not be the only guy in America that is challenging an incumbent in the primaries. Even John Boehner himself is being challenged. But why are you challenging the incumbent Jeff Miller in this primary?
Doc, I'm challenging Jeff Miller because 13 years is long enough. Our district has done nothing but suffer since he's been in office. And I feel it's time that we, the people, have a voice in Washington, D.C. instead of the same old mishmash every 2 years script that they come out with. They feed us this script every 2 years, get reelected, and go back to business as usual. And I think it's time that we stand up as local community businessmen and leaders and take back our districts.
Okay, and that's a good start. Let me ask you, for people who might be stumbling across this and going, I think I've heard of Miller. He's a congressman, right? And don't really know what's going on as far as his 13-year tenure in the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. You're saying that our district has been suffering with him representing us here in the 1st District. Give me some particulars, because obviously he's well entrenched, he's well heeled, he's well funded. Obviously, there have to be some specifics that really got you to the point where you're thinking, okay, that's it. I've got to run.
Yes. The thing that really gotten me started was he voted for CAFTA. He was the swing vote on sending jobs overseas and losing jobs for Americans after he promised his constituents he would never vote on such a bill because it was not only bad for the country, it was bad for his district. He votes for all these free trade agreements that continuously sends jobs overseas, all the way up until this last one, the TPP, that he was involved with. Mr. Miller has constantly, I can explain it like this, Doc. When you vote for sequestration and tell us that you'd rather have a fighting military than the Blue Angels out there flying, helping our local economy be boosted with the air shows, and you say, I'd rather support a fighting military, well, but then they kept flying to keep their standards and everything, and so they were never grounded. And we were still paying $39 million a year to support the Blues. And what better way than some young kid to look up in the sky at our Blue Angels, those heroes, and say, I want to be like that when I grow up. But Mr. Miller in a town hall meeting said he'd much rather support a fighting military, putting our kids in harm's way. The thing that really pushed me over the top, because my son, my stepson, I've adopted my son-in-law, he's a veteran. 3 tours in Iraq, 2 tours in Afghanistan. And I'll tell you what, the kid came back home. He can't find a job here. He had to get a job overseas. Now he's taking my grandkid overseas. That hurts. But the thing that really scalds me is Mr. Miller voted to cut the pensions and retirement plans for our veterans that sacrificed everything for their nation. And, it's time to just put a stop to this. He votes on the non-important stuff. Then he gets a free pass on the important stuff. The man is the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and he doesn't stand up for the veterans. He votes for them to get cuts in their pensions and everything. I would suggest, why doesn't Mr. Miller sponsor a bill, like I would do, to cut the Congress's pension? Leave our veterans alone. They need a lot of help. We got veterans that can come back and get prosthetic limbs, but they can't get mental help for the mental issues they've endured from being in the war theaters.
Sounds very good. And obviously, you're not only passionate about, but very well educated on veterans issues and military issues. And I'm sure one of the things that bothered you about Congressman Miller's suggestion about fighting military as opposed to Blue Angels is Well, does it have to be either or? I mean, there are bound to be a few other things that would be cut out of the government. What are some of your other priorities should you get the nomination and go to the U.S. House beyond national security and Veterans Affairs?
Well, what we need to do is we need to fight for a balanced budget once and for all. And I'm tired of hearing them talk about balanced budgets, but they expand on spending. Let's start the balanced budget by cutting spending. Let's start living within our means. Let's stop borrowing money from China to give to countries that hate us. Let's start looking at bringing jobs back home. Let's get rid of things that are non-constitutional, the Department of Education, Homeland Security, and NSA spying. Mr. Miller supports all that. We need to cut all that. We need to get back to where the states run the states, protect the 10th Amendment, protect our Second Amendment, and let the states run the states. And the federal government needs to stay inside the guidelines of our Constitution. That's what they are supposed to adhere to, and they're supposed to represent their districts, not special interests.
Very good. John Krause, who's running for the Republican nomination for the U.S. House, District 1 in Northwest Florida. John, I bet you have a website you'd like to direct people to.
I do. It's Krause, Krause, the number 4, Congress.com. And I'm going to put a plea out there real quick, if it's all right, Doc. Right now, folks, we have 2 weeks to get our name on the ballot. I need 500 people to give $20 because we have to pay to be on the ballot. We're not golden children with a spoon in our mouth, and I need your help to give you a voice, to give you a choice in this year's election primary. So please go to my website. We're on Facebook. Let's rally around our campaign and take back our district. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, Doc.
All right, John Krause running for U.S. House Republican nomination, District 1 in Northwest Florida for the United States House of Representatives. This is Doc Washburn for the TeaPartyChannel.net, and we'll be this right after back.